Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me here for Think About It Thursdays on Conversations with Taz. I want to start this off with a very, very, very important message. If you are not aware, uh, next week there will be an emergency alert test. I want you to pay close attention to these two videos and pass along the information as need be.
Have you ever thought to yourself, how dang cool would it be if everybody's cell phone around me rang at the same time? Yeah, neither did I. But here in the US, it is going to happen on October 4th, 2023 at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. FEMA and the FCC are getting together to do a nationwide emergency alert test. Every cell phone is going to do the meep thing. On your phone, some iPhones, you can unsubscribe from Amber Alerts, Silver Alerts, Weather Alerts. This is the one that you can't turn off. So if you're a teacher, sorry. If you've got an important business meeting, it's gonna get interrupted. If you repair Ming vases as your job, maybe take a small lunch break between 2 and 2:30. The backup date for this is going to be October 11th on the off chance we're having some nationwide weather alert. October 11th is the backup, but let's be honest, October 4th, 2:20 p.m. Just know everybody is gonna get a little pissed. If you work night shift, just know this is coming.
A national alert is going to be sent out over cell phones at 2:20 in the afternoon on October 4th. FEMA and the FCC are testing the emergency alert. If you have an extra phone hidden, like a domestic violence phone, be sure that phone is off. Ironically, October is also National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. You don't want the wrong people being aware of that phone. All the government had to do is call me. I would have let them know. Please let your family and friends know, because you never really know what kind of situation people are in. Be aware and be safe.
Just wanted to make everybody aware of that in case you weren't, if you did not know, if you have children participating in online schooling or anything like that, keep that in mind. Like I said, pass the information along as needed, because you never know who might be in a bit of a pickle and may not need their phone going off that way. Let's start off with General Milley. We're going to play the clip from 60 Minutes, and we're going to get into just a few updates.
President Trump recently said that your dealings with China were so egregious that in times gone by, the punishment would have been death.
That's right, he said that. That's correct.
He is suggesting that you be punished by death. The former commander-in-chief to his former top military advisor.
Look, I'm a soldier. I've been faithful and loyal to the Constitution of the United States for 44 and a half years. And my family and I have sacrificed greatly for this country, and my mother and father before them. And, as much as these comments are directed at me, it's also directed at the institution of the military. And there's 2.1 million of us in uniform. And the American people can take it to the bank that all of us, every single one of us, from private to general, we're loyal to that Constitution and we'll never turn our back on it no matter what the threats, no matter what the humiliation, no matter what. If we're willing to die for that document, if we're willing to deploy to combat, if we're willing to lose an arm, a leg, an eye, to protect and support and defend that document and protect the American people, then we're willing to live for it too. So I'm not going to comment directly on those things, but I can tell you that this military, this soldier, me, will never turn our back on that Constitution.
But for the record, was there anything inappropriate or treasonous about the calls you made to China?
Absolutely not. Zero. None.
It almost seems odd to ask this question because the former commander-in-chief seems to be calling for your execution. Are you worried about your safety?
I've got adequate safety precautions. I wish those comments had not been made, but they were, and we'll take appropriate measures to ensure my safety and the safety of my family.
Now, as of today, General Milley has officially stepped down from his position and has been forced to take safety precautions due to Trump calling for his execution. Milley also went on to state that Trump disrespected not just him, but the United States with his call for execution. And stupid is as stupid does. General Milley as far as high as you can go in the military, that is what he's stepping down from. He is from a military family and is expressly trained. When he wakes up tomorrow morning, I'm sure he has some investments and some savings. He is no longer beholden to the United States government. He's no longer beholden to the U.S. military. I'm talking about outside of just regular being a citizen. Trump, you better hope he is a better person than the rest of us. Because if it were me, I would pull up. Because I believe Trump is still in Bedminster in New Jersey. I would pull up and whoop his ass. I'm in no way saying that that's what General Milley is going to do. I'm just saying. The rest of us... Trump, learn how to pick your battles. Learn how to pick your battles. Stop talking shit to people who can bend you like Beckham. And not in a good way. He can literally blow your spinal column out the center of your back. He's seen some things none of us want to see, okay? He could run for president. He could, or he could, maybe that's just my fantasy. Okay, real quick, there is an update in Fulton County. In case you didn't, I tried to put an update up on TikTok. There's more details over there. But coming out of Fulton County, now remember I kept telling y'all that all of these preliminary hearings, all of these briefings that were put in, all these things were put into the judge. Trump's legal team, different members of the legal team have been sitting in court in Fulton County, seeing how it's been going for everybody else. So I'm not really shocked by this. But Trump has had his attorneys notify Fulton County that they will not request for his case to be moved to federal court. Because remember, the original thing was him and Mark Meadows separately were going to petition to be moved to federal court and then try to petition for immunity. Baby, you're guilty. And also keep in mind, on Monday, the Cheeseboro Powell trials begins, and that is projected to last 4 months. And this trial will be televised. Y'all know I love a good court TV moment. Now, okay, here we go. Let's go into this clip, and then we're going to come back and talk about this Biden impeachment inquiry. Oh, Jesus, here we go.
This is exactly the type of passion that you want from your representatives in Congress. So the first impeachment inquiry hearing into Joe Biden is taking place, and the Democrats are pushing back hard. None are pushing back any harder than Yasmin Crockett, a representative from Texas, who is absolutely amazing here.
But when we start talking about things that look like evidence, they want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are our national secrets. Looks like in the to me. This looks like more evidence of our national secrets, say on a stage at Mar-a-Lago. When we're talking about somebody that's committed high crimes, it's at least indictments. Let's say 32 counts related to unauthorized retention of national security secrets, 7 counts related to obstructing the investigation, 3 false statements, 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, falsifying business records, conspiracy to defraud the United States, 2 counts related to efforts to obstruct the vote certification proceedings, 1 count of conspiracy to violate civil rights, 23 counts related to forgery or false document statements, 8 counts related to soliciting, and I could go on because he's got 91 counts pending right now. But I will tell you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly, I hope and pray that my parents love me half as much as he loves his child. Until they find some evidence, we need to get back to the people's work, which means keeping this government open so that people don't go hungry in the streets of the United States. And
This is about 4 months before Joe Biden launched.
Now, I want you to pay attention to just how smug he looks and sounds, and the confidence behind his smugness.
His campaign for president of the United States, December 2018. The highlight is this is a text message between Jim Biden and Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden was in a bad way, by the way. He was really strung out. He lost a bunch of money. He needed help.
What does that have to do with Joe Biden? The then vice president, the now president. And Jim's the uncle.
Jim Biden says, this can work. You need a safe harbor. I can work with your father alone. It'll probably take several months and everybody can read the text.
Sometimes I wonder if the GOP hears themselves. He prefaced that with Hunter Biden being strung out and, but let's see how actual this is. I'm sure you'll see a pattern between the Republicans in politics and the Republicans on social media. Maybe, I don't know.
Again, none of that's actual evidence of an impeachable offense by President Joe Biden, but the real issue with that presentation, the congressman from Florida apparently brought in fabricated Photoshop slides and text messages as his supposed evidence, which eliminated the actual context and was incredibly deceptive. And he was subsequently called out on it in the hearing by his colleague, New York Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Earlier today, one of our colleagues, a gentleman from Florida, presented up on the screen something that appeared to be a screenshot of a text message containing or insinuating an explosive allegation. That screenshot of what appeared to be a text message was a fabricated image. It was a fabricated image. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it was.
Anybody who dates men, everybody, I think we all collectively know that face. That's that damn baby, you busted me line face. Whether it's, did you take out the trash? Did you mow the lawn? Did you cheat? Did you eat my cheesecake out the Frigidaire? Look at his face. See, because men always get that constipated look, that I need some Pepto-Bismol look when they get busted. Busted 5 o'clock in the morning. Just keep going.
Staff of the committee, but it was not the actual direct screenshot from that phone. And in fact, I would like to submit to the committee the actual full context from the Ziegler affidavit number.
He looked like he about to cry. But did you catch that this was already entered into evidence? It was a part of a subpoena. This is how far they will go for a good soundbite. Like, my boy, you can be brought up. You can be investigated for lying. This is already known and available to everyone. These Magadonians, these Trump sycophants keep going into spaces where everybody has the same rules, the same materials, the same everything, and lying.
Exhibit 402 of the full text of that exchange. Do I have permission from the chair? Importantly, what was brought out from that fabricated image excluded critical context that changed the underlying meaning and allegation that was presented up on that screen by this committee and by members of the committee.
Established multiple times there was no
This is part of the reason why I chuckle every time the GOP wants to hold one of these bogus meetings where they're just hemorrhaging taxpayer dollars, because they know it's going to be televised. And even with all of the sound bites that we know OAN and Newsmax and Breitbart are going to snatch up and regurgitate, and the local talk radio shows and the podcasts are going to get, yeah, that's all fine and dandy. And that'll work for Grandpa and Grandma Clampett. But everyone else is pretty much on some sort of social media. So you're going to get the actual factual clips. Even those that put themselves in the echo chamber that is Facebook, somebody in your family is going to show you the truth. When you go to your favorite sports bar to get those wings on Sunday, you're going to see clips of it. But, okay, just so y'all know, I did get some sleep today. I did get some rest. Okay? And I did take a break today. I have a witness. I took a break today, okay? I had fun. I laughed. I giggled. I little girl talk. Forgot to update y'all on that, but I did. And I got a witness. She was there. We was looking at each other. But I did watch. I was in and out of watching the impeachment inquiry. Because I'm trying to avoid migraines. I'm trying. But the Republican Party as a whole does not unilaterally agree with this inquiry. And they do believe that it's a botched attempt, a very, very botched attempt. And they've even come out on social media to discuss it. Now, as you saw, the fake evidence that was entered in by Byron Donald, it is an obvious attempt to even the score for Trump. And this fear of Trump at this point, Trump has yet to win a court case. And I'm not just talking about currently. I'm not just talking about even going back to just the first E. Jean Carroll case, because we know some things are about to be amended. I'm talking about in forever. Like, the writing is on the wall. He's going to jail. The money that he was hoarding over everybody and the connections he was hoarding over everybody, the people that were giving him the connections that were making him scary, they're in prison. They're about to go to prison. They're like, come on. Just stop the shenanigans. Stop setting yourself on fire for him. But Representative Moskowitz, who we love Representative Moskowitz, said for the GOP to just go ahead, just skip the inquiry, and go ahead and call for an impeachment vote if they believe that they have the evidence. They didn't do that, and they acted as if he didn't say that. The very first witness for the GOP said that the evidence does not equate to an impeachment. The other witnesses for the GOP presented no evidence and no facts that would equate to an impeachment. Keep in mind, this inquiry is the result of an 8-month investigation. They love having these multi-month investigations and then having a congressional hearing for what? The investigation, which should have never been an investigation. You took a rumor, you took a meme. Like, this is like a kindergarten class. And you decided to investigate. The investigation says, nope, there's bupkis. And then you want to have a but all of the conversations, the questionings, their pseudo evidence, it was all centered around Hunter, James, and other Biden family members. And I believe somebody said something about the dog. that keeps biting Secret Service agents. And I don't care if it was the 11th person that was recently bitten. Dr. Biden and Joey, Jojo, Joseph Robinette, don't y'all put that dog down. Don't you take that dog out the White House. That dog knows what's going on. Let us not forget that there were Secret Service agents surrounding Trump's self-coup that deleted emails and text messages, and there was a Secret Service detail that was not Mike Pence's that was willing to go get him, and we don't know what he was going to do to him. Those Secret Service officers that are being bit by your dog, investigate them and let them go, but get them out of the White House and get them away from you and your family. That dog knows something. That dog knows something. Sorry, I got off track. But yeah, that's Jesus, marriage. That's, yeah. That is what they have. We have 2 days. 2 days before a very plausible government shutdown. This is what we're doing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Puppers is FaceTiming old Commander Biden up there. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. He keeps slipping away upstairs and needing alone time. And every time I go upstairs, he pops up out the bed like, what you want? So I think somebody done slid him a phone. I really do think that they don't. Oh yeah, dogs and children, especially babies, they know. They know. I had a dog that could not stand a particular family member of mine. Boy, did that foreshadow some stuff. Boy, did that foreshadow some stuff. Oh, Serena, thank you. I'm kind of feeling myself after I slid in the grass the other day. Now, speaking of the government shutdown, take a look at this nonsense. We'll be back at 2 and 2.
Hey, those Democrats are trying to make it so if the government shuts down, that Congress don't get paid. Those corrupt Democrats. But, it's the Republicans that are shutting everything down, or trying to shut everything down because they want those prosecutions and investigations into Daddy Trump. Tingles. They want those to stop right dead in their tracks. And I'm sure there's a lot of investigations looking at them too. They'd like for those to stop. But see, the thing is, those aren't going to stop. A lot of that money's already been appropriated for that. So anyway, so that's basically why they're wanting to shut everything down. And the Democrats are saying, hey, well, if you shut things down, then we don't want to get paid. Well, they're not going to get any Republicans to agree to that, because they're going to keep their paychecks coming, even though they're going to really make life miserable for tens of thousands of people whenever they do this. The people that we claim to care about, veterans, military, first responders, those kind of people. Yeah, as long as this thing's getting shut down, they're going to be losing money. And I don't know how you pay a mortgage payment or your rent or anything like that without money. But we don't care about those things, do we, Patriots? But see, that Freedom for Rich White People Caucus, they are offering some legislation. 80% cuts to Department of Education, 30% cuts to affordable housing, things like that. Things that we typically try to associate with, it's going to hurt minority groups, and that just makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But the truth is, most of those benefits go to red states. And, our red states are the ones that's mooching off of blue states. They use most of that money. So if they do that, it's going to hurt a lot of us too. But hey, as long as we think we're hurting minority groups, it makes us feel great, don't it, Patriots? But that's really not the way it works. We're just going to be hurting a lot of people that don't need to be hurt for no reason. But seeing how they put this legislative idea out there, they want to make all these drastic cuts to social safety nets. they're showing their true colors, what they really mean. And I was thinking, they're hurting us, patriots. Our elected Republicans are really hurting us because the fact that they've got this Project 2025 out there for everybody to look at, and that Trump put his Agenda 47 up there on his website, that's saying that they want to turn America into a authoritarian dictatorship. They shouldn't have put that stuff out there because it's going to run a lot of independent voters over to the Democrat side. They should have just held on to that. What do you think, Patriots? Should have held on to it and just snuck it in if they get a Republican in? Because, I mean, let's face it. We don't really like democracy much at all unless our people win. And we can't win unless we cheat, with gerrymandering and voter suppression, other forms of voter suppression. And we know that. We wouldn't ever win a presidential election if it wasn't for the Electoral College. But anyway, they're putting all that stuff out there for everybody to see. And it's rightfully scaring the crap out of people. So they're running people over to the Democrats. I guess we should have elected smarter, more diabolical people. But they're screwing us over the same way they did with this Roe versus Wade thing. So we should elect smarter people, y'all. Inmate Trump 2024.
Oh, oof. Oh, oof. Miss Ma'am, I don't think you were supposed to say that out loud, but you did. And here we are.
Congressman, will you take pay if the government shuts down?
I'm honestly not sure how that works.
Well, you still get money. The members of Congress get paid. The Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said so on the floor yesterday. So will you accept that pay?
I will.
Nope.
I am not independently wealthy, and we are
neither are
like
they.
any other family. I don't think you're going to find a huge amount of sympathy.
What?
For people that have been furloughed or early retirement or laid off for their pension going bankrupt. You're not going to find a huge amount of sympathy out there.
How to end your career in 15 seconds or less. Holy shit! And for those of you who are about to say it was taken out of context, no, it was not. He literally was asked several times if that's what he meant, and he doubled down. Bye!
As I keep saying, if you pay attention to the GOP, they're a collection of elitists or elitist want-to-be's or elite chasers that make fun of their constituency and they do not give a shit. He legitimately said, I'm not independently wealthy. Yeah, well, you have a stipend to make sure you can eat lunch every day and whatever else you want to eat during the day while you're working. You're not losing pay. You were told you weren't losing pay, but now there's no sympathy for furloughed workers and people pushed into early retirement. One thing I know, one thing that I know that I began learning in the late 80s, when there was a big push for basically age discrimination and ageism in corporate America. When pushed into early retirement, that throws everything off keel for people. When people wonder about greeters at Walmart and everything else and why Meemaw and Papa are still working, even those that may have been executives, they have an investment plan. And a lot of times these 401ks, these 403bs, IRAs, whether traditional or Roth IRAs and everything else, they have a plan for a certain amount of years. When that is taken away, especially since, unless you're the CEO, COO, or CFO, you're not really being paid proportionate to the cost of living increases. You're screwed. And you're going into a government shutdown, pushing people into early retirement during a time that they cannot apply for Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, nothing. These benefits that they will need immediately. And furloughed employees, what are they supposed to do? Because when I talked previously about government shutdowns and Social Security, people are like, they'll still get their Social Security checks. Yeah, don't lose your Social Security card. Don't lose anything associated with it. And if you are in the process of applying to receive Social Security benefits in any way, and it has not gone through the process, you're screwed. You ain't getting shit. But see, these people that'll now be forced into these socialist programs that they can't apply for right now will be deemed lazy. If you just work for it, they were working for it. Yeah, there's no sympathy for them, but there's sympathy for you. Where y'all are trying to have a fake impeachment inquiry to appease a tangerine toddler tyrant, and you're arguing about a damn dress code that y'all barely adhere to as is. I don't know how many of y'all watch, well, probably I'm the only person who watches C-SPAN like it's a damn soap opera, but whatever. Don't judge me right now. Well, maybe a little bit, because I can understand. That is next level nerdy. I did not realize that till I said it out loud. Okay, anyway, focus. A lot of them don't go into chambers with a jacket on. They have tennis shoes on, like the vast majority, like, and nobody said anything about Kristen Sinema and her fashion choices. But okay, I have more of a lighthearted GOP story for y'all. Lighthearted in a this bitch committing fraud type of way. And this bitch has a long-standing history of committing fraud kind of way. But it's still funny because I like to laugh at her. So I present to you Podium Gate.
Hey, it's me. I'm still stuck in bed with COVID, which is bad news for Sarah Huckabee Sanders because I have the time. So let's talk about her almost $20,000 lectern. Or is it? And I got to give a shout out to the Arkansas Times. Support your local newspaper. This is an incredible story that they put together. It was recently reported that the governor claimed that she had purchased a $19,000 podium. And what was kind of interesting about that is nobody had really seen the podium, and it had been used like maybe once or twice. And the taxpayers of Arkansas are the ones who end up paying this bill, right? And it was a little fishy because the bill for this podium came in on the exact same week that Sarah Huckabee Sanders was traveling with some friends to Paris. Now here's the podium in action. And after some digging, I was able to find almost an identical version of this. I mean, you can always customize them a little bit for about $3,000. So where did the rest of the money go? Internet sleuths are saying that Sarah Huckabee Sanders took her friend Virginia Beckett on a Parisian vacation and then added the receipts for that trip into the cost of the podium. Because Virginia Beckett's company is the one who provided the invoice for the podium. Does Virginia Beckett make podiums? I don't know. Does this look like a woman who's handy with woodwork? She doesn't list it in her special skills on her bio from her website. She's an event planner and lobbyist. I don't know about podium maker. After getting called out, the governor's aide said that this was just an accounting error, and in fact, the Republican Party of Arkansas paid for the podium, so nothing to see here. And also note that Sanders has changed the Freedom of Information Act so that folks can't really dig into the stuff she's doing under the name of security. It would be a risk to her security if people were able to file Freedom of Information Act requests. And it goes back to 6 months before she even took office. Arkansas State Police can withhold any information they say relates to Sanders or her family's security from here out. And what does that mean, right? That's all objective. It means she can travel on planes that are paid for by Arkansas taxpayers without having to say who's on the plane. And again, Arkansas Times brings up that when her father was the governor, she used to try to do this stuff. She would want to bring friends along on governor's trips, and then she would want the taxpayers to pay for her friend to come along. And they would. He would put it through. When her dad was governor, he was using mansion funds to pay for dry cleaning, a doghouse, groceries, and pantyhose. And somehow he remained untouchable, as she seemingly is remaining untouchable right now. The Arkansas Times notes that Sanders' strategy for deflecting from any kind of criticism is this, like, I know you are, but what am I strategy? Where no matter what you say to her, she just comes back with a dig on you also. Just sticking to the lie hard. I did, in fairness, find another picture of the alleged podium where there's a little baby podium with it. So, I don't know. What do you think it's worth? How much do you think this costs? I'm sorry, what? Is this picture provided by the governor's office photoshopped? I did not realize that part of Podium Gate is the fact that this new $19,000 podium may not exist at all. Okay, so here is the lectern that she used at inauguration, right? Did they rent that podium for inauguration and then later purchase it? Or is it supposed to be a completely different podium that she purchased the week she was in Paris? And this week, after the news started digging into it, the governor's office provided this photograph, alleging that this is the podium that she purchased for $19,000 and that it is locked up in the governor's mansion. Does this look like it's photoshopped into the room? Folks who are better at this than I am, like, is that shadow correct? Because I thought this looked kind of photoshopped, but I was like, I don't know, maybe that's just like how it looks. But this podium and this podium are not different. And I know it's a lectern and not a podium, but the scandal is called Podium Gate.
Now, when she was going for, changing the stipulations regarding her and DeSantis, it was kind of neck and neck, back to back, with them like, oh, you can't get information about our travel and anything else. I was like, but why? And then I remembered that when her father was governor for a while, they stayed in a trailer out back. I think she's making up for time. And who is going to be Sarah Huckabee Sanders' friend without some perks? But there's another update. Take a look.
Good morning, and thank you to all of the followers who have jumped in on Podium Gate. I have two very interesting updates from you, both from followers who were able to analyze the photo that Sarah Huckabee Sanders provided, claiming that this is her new podium. And we even have what if she did buy that podium, it might have cost. So check this out. Thank you to Dust Bunny friend Alex, who put this together. I'm going to read his notes. Just keep this in mind or go back to this photo if you need to. He's saying there are shadow anomalies to the photo that was provided from Huckabee Sanders. There are issues with texture seams. The podium has a visible texture seam, which is common in 3D modeling, but not if it was a real picture. And there are background inconsistencies. Pause to read more here. He's saying the material and the reflections don't match up. And there's also a construction variance. All that to say, Alex is saying that this photograph is maybe likely not real. But even if it was real, it wasn't worth $19,000, and Dust Bunny Brian has the smoking gun. He found the podium, and it's $771 on Amazon. Here's her podium from inauguration. Here again is the photo that she provided, claiming that she bought this for $19,000. For legal purposes, this entire video is just spit talking and speculating. But I don't know, man. That's some pretty compelling evidence for our gossip of the day. And thank you to everyone who has indulged me in this while I'm sick.
Everybody in the GOP has I know on Twitter and on TikTok, everybody's having fun with girl math and boy math, but can we talk about GOP math? Because the GOP has completely different math than the rest of us, especially when it comes to expense reports and taxes. It's quite peculiar, because ain't no way. But y'all, if you thought the spiciest, the juiciest, the most interesting bit of news was Lauren Boebert and her first date with a Democrat that seems to have a penchant for drag queens at Beetlejuice was, the end all to be all, you are so incorrect. Coming from NBC11news.com. Mesa County Commissioner Cody Davis ditches Lauren Boebert. Colorado's 3rd Congressional District Representative Lauren Boebert has one less supporter after Mesa County Commissioner Cody Davis pulls his support for the controversial official. Through a post on Facebook, Davis said, "I've done nothing but defend Lauren Boebert for the last 2.5 years against what I felt were unfair attacks. However, Boebert's recent behavior is simply indefensible. Davis continues, how can I criticize Democrats for their moral shortcomings if I'm blind to the shortcomings of my own side? As we aim to refocus the Republican Party, we must support individuals who not only advocate for conservative values, but are committed to embodying them. Our voters deserve that. What? A Republican conservative with a conscience and standards and checks and balances? What? Is that okay? But that's not all on Miss Lil Booberry, okay? From Newsweek.com. Lauren Boebert's attack on transgender defense official sparks backlash. Lauren Boebert, close. I hate it when it does that. Lauren Boebert has come under fire after describing Sean Skelly, the trans woman who serves as Assistant Secretary of Defense for Readiness, a male, and attempting to cut her salary to just $1 per year. Trailer Park Tricia said, what? The Colorado Republican introduced an amendment to a defense spending bill in the House using the Holman rule, which allows representatives to target individual federal employees for salary cuts. Well, how come ain't nobody targeting her? She already dressed like she make $5 a month. In an unusual move, the defense spending bill was initially blocked from even making its way to the floor in a procedural vote, usually a formality with a small group of hardline Republican rebels joining Democrats to vote it down. It comes as the U.S. remains on a path to a partial government shutdown, which would see millions of federal workers furloughed unless Congress can agree on additional funding by the end of the month. You know what? Piece of work. But that's not even the juiciest part. What is your issue? I do not care. I do not care. Coming from ColoradoNewsline.com, Fox News Hannity to be added as defendants in Boebert defamation lawsuit, attorney says. Plaintiff David Wheeler says media personalities conspired with Congresswoman to defame him. Oh, child, everybody going down. In the GOP, it's going down. Meet them in the court. It's going down. They ain't got no attorney, so you know what's going down. Okay. I'm going to stay. One day, I'm going to get through a whole show and stay focused. Probably not. But we keep hope alive. Fox News, Sean Hannity, and others will be added as defendants in a defamation suit against Representative Lauren Boebert, the plaintiff in the case said this week. North Carolina political activist David Wheeler sued the Silt Republican in June, claiming she made multiple false statements about him and the political group he leads, American Muckrakers, which is also a plaintiff in the case. His complaint in U.S. District Court of Colorado alleges Boebert made maliciously false statements about Wheeler and American Muckrakers on multiple occasions last summer, particularly during broadcasts of Hannity's Fox News shows and on radio. Fox personality Tommy Lauren is also signaled out in the complaint as having provided a platform for Boebert to allegedly defame Wheeler. You know what? It's about time, because everybody knows that they lie. And this Dominion. Thank you. Now, we know about all the sexual harassment cases that Fox News has, settled out of court or just lost in court. But Dominion opened the way for people to say, you know what? It's already been proven that y'all liars. I'm coming to get my money. And anybody who still watches that best, you like to be lied to. Okay, you like to lie. But I love this for her. And if you remember, it's American Muckrakers that dropped the story with receipts that she's a former call girl and how she met Rafael Ted Cruz. And then she, thinking she was defending herself at CPAC, said that if that's all they can say about Ted Cruz, that's the coolest thing I ever heard. That you was his hooker. That you was his hooker, girl. That's cool. You was his hooker. It's bad enough that you was in a predatory grooming relationship with a pedophile, an abusive pedophile at that. But you was hooking. You was hooking, girl, to Ted Cruz. And where's Ted Cruz? Because Ted Cruz's wife is Hispanic. Well, so is he. But baby, you ain't through hands with nobody yet. You ain't bippity boppity booped Ted on top of Raphael on top of the head. And also, where's Vivek's mama? Because he talking mad shit and making her and her husband look bad. But I mean, they ain't kids no more. They grown. So just come on. I'm not for like abuse and all of that, but I am for getting your lick back. Like they talking hella shit. Like hella shit. But yeah, yeah. All right, we done talking about Lauren Boebert. Shit, you know what? You got to quit watching so much news. You look, shit. Now, let's take a look once again because we need a laugh at Trump supporters.
You don't believe JFK is dead?
No.
This woman, Pamela Respino Esquine, calls herself Nani Codes. When I met her in Dallas, she told me she left her family in Louisiana 16 months ago because of her belief in this.
So what was your question? You pointed over there.
So JFK got assassinated just a few yards from here.
So did Jesus Christ.
And what about JFK Jr.?
I believe he's alive.
So that he didn't die in a plane crash?
No, he didn't.
You think that was staged somehow?
Yes, it was. Okay. It's a war. It's a war against good and evil, and they've been trying to kill the bloodline of Jesus Christ forever.
A bloodline?
A bloodline, yes.
These women also believe in President Kennedy's resurrection.
Abraham Lincoln was a direct descendant of Jesus Christ, bloodline.
Right.
And then you would have your connection with Donald Trump, JFK Jr., and am I forgetting anybody?
Elvis Presley.
Correct. They all come from the bloodline.
JFK was a Democrat. So I think people are confused why all these Trump supporters love JFK so much.
Well, because the system's rigged. Right. There's Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. It's all about values.
A common belief is that President John F. Kennedy knew what the deep state was up to, and so for that he was assassinated. This is hard for some people to believe because Kennedy was a Democrat and QAnon is a far-right group, but Kennedy was also an extremely popular political figure.
A whole people is lifted up.
Jesslyn Cook is a reporter working on a book about the devastation conspiracy theories have caused for families across America. She says the JFK obsession is fringe even within QAnon circles, but still, it led to all these people showing up in Dallas waiting for a Kennedy.
JFK Jr. wanted to carry on the fight against the deep state, and so he partnered with Donald Trump all these years ago and started plotting. But in '99,
slow news day.
He felt fear for his own life, so he faked his own death in this plane crash and laid low for almost 2 decades. And the hope has been that JFK Jr. will eventually reemerge in person and take on the White House with Donald Trump.
So well before Donald Trump ever thought about getting into politics, he was in cahoots with JFK Jr. And JFK Jr. faked his own death. And all these people who have no ancestry in common are linked, but also linked to the bloodline of Jesus that nobody can confirm. But all these people are dead except for Trump. And ain't none of them came back from the dead. But there was no party switch. But JFK and JFK Jr. loved Trump. And like I told y'all yesterday, when I was watching Trump ramble in Michigan and his sycophants that were in the comment section, they're choosing JFK because of his popularity. Because Trump's favorite president, he keeps saying, is Nixon. one of the other proven corrupt presidents. I'm saying proven for a reason. But they're going based off of popularity. And Trump is a household name because of infamy. I don't like this timeline. I don't like this part of the multiverse. Where is Doctor Strange when we need him? Where mm-mm. Doctor Strange, I need off this ride of this portion of the multiverse. Nope. This is why I have a zero water filter in my house. I ain't. Nope. No, nope. And they think that JFK and JFK Jr. are both going to appear at the place that JFK was murdered at. Jesus himself, according to the handy dandy Sky Daddy handbook, didn't even reappear at the place where he was crucified. Okay, I guess, all right, and the woman at the beginning left the amount of people leaving families because either the families don't agree, not that they don't agree with them being Trump supporters, but don't agree with them going down the QAnon rabbit hole to that level. And the people who are leaving their families to be able to travel around the country to follow Trump, like the one man months ago who made his wife come out of retirement and get a job to finance him being unemployed and making sure he makes it to all the Trump rallies, including the Trump rallies where they've locked the gates to keep people in, where they've shut down everything and left people in the cold and in the rain and in the dark. How you treating me like shit? And I can't. I can't. I can't. This is going to be studied for a very, very long time. Now yesterday I did make reference to something regarding DeSantis, and I can't remember if I played it. Today is Thursday. I can't remember if I played it Tuesday or not, so I'm going to play it now, just so we're all up to speed and everybody knows what I was talking about. Here we go.
Okay, so this story is not only important, but it's kind of funny, and I want to make sure it gets the attention that it deserves. Basically, Governor DeSantis was hoping to make headlines by wooing the nation's oldest gun manufacturer, Remington, to move its headquarters from New York to Florida. He was willing to offer them $25 million in public money incentives to do that. But based on public records between Remington and Enterprise Florida, one of the reasons why Remington did not accept this offer is because they didn't think Florida's educational system would provide the workforce necessary to maintain their business operations. The proposed offer included $20 million in taxpayer money, plus land in 80 River State College in Southeast Florida for Remington to build a factory, and another $5 million in grants, and actually a $3 million tax break as well. Despite all this free money, Remington still said, no, we don't think Florida can develop the workforce that they need. Looks like public education is super important after all.
I told y'all, because I keep saying they keep wanting to ban all these books. They want to ban all these classes. Who is going to be your next set of workers? Like when I played you all the video from the investigative reporter back in the late 80s, early 90s, where she said there's no such thing as unskilled labor. Now, I've always had a problem with that term because I'm like, unskilled labor, like unless you're getting paid to literally you got to have some type of a skill, whether you develop the skill on the job or you came in with it. But yeah, where are you going to get these people? And let us not forget that DeSantis, the former school teacher with children, also wants to change the parameters for college entrance. Instead of kids taking both the ACT and the SAT or one or the other, depending on the school they want to apply for, they would have to take a different test that would only be valid for colleges in Florida. So they would be stuck in a literal phallic-shaped echo chamber. Say what you want. Y'all know what Florida looked like. Did none of us get raptured? We all heathens here together. Welcome in. I will, like, even if, like, it's obvious they don't care about the rest of us, but do they realize the world that they are setting up for their children? Like, you are out here having money grab after money grab after money grab, and you're going to leave it to children who are going to burn through it in 3 to 6 months at the rate inflation and cost of living is going, and they're not going to be able to make it back up. And I've seen families like that. We're in a generation, I don't think I've told this story ever, but there was a guy that I knew, and I met him because of his grandparents. His grandparents owned a convenience store, and it was kind of, I guess the closest comparison would be like a New York bodega, where you could get like a sandwich, stuff like that. When his grandfather died, and then his grandmother was getting up in age and couldn't really handle things, he decided to convince her to sell the store, and he burned through that money. See, him nor his mother took his education seriously because they were banking on the money coming in from the store. But even if they wouldn't have sold the store, he didn't possess the education to properly handle the store. Within a year, damn near out of money. Now, I hate to say it like this, but I'm talking strictly business-wise, okay? Fortunately, his grandma died and left everything to him. Multiple insurance policies he didn't even know, all sorts of money coming in. Year later, lost the house, had to sell a car, broke again. No real discernible skills. Mom lucked out because she found a sap to take her in and pretty much just let her twiddle around the house. And he worked, and I think dude just married her because of the benefits package he got as a married man through his company. And this is what happens. Like, these changes to education, all of this banning, all of this cutting classes, it doesn't just affect us. And before people go, but Taz, they're in a whole different type of school. Y'all are missing. They're passing legislation on the state level. So even in a private school, where are you going to get the teachers from? Where are you going to get the books from? If you've said you have to ban these books from the schools, the libraries, all these things, you done put your buddies on the school board of these private schools, these public schools, and everything else. Who's going to teach it? Who is going to fill in the gap? See, they weren't thinking. See, back in the 50s and 60s, they just, hey, you racist just like me. Yeah. You still got your degree in education? Sure do. Well, Central High School got a principal position opening up. For real? Yeah. Your mama's still in education, and she is. She still hate them brown people. She still hate them darkies. Yeah, she do. She can't stand them. They got an opening as a superintendent. And that's how the private schools stayed safe in the past, because it wasn't statewide legislation. They're passing it on the state level. They're banning the stuff everywhere. They are not thinking past today. They are not thinking about when little Susie and Johnny that are sitting in their backyard doing laps in their Olympic-sized pool need to get to the 7th, 8th grade, when they're in 11th grade, when they need to get into a college so they can keep the family business going. They kids gonna be dumb as shit too. They not thinking about that. But anywho, as always, thank you for joining me here on Conversations with Taz. Make sure you check out the links in the description of the video. Pupper says hi. Lord have mercy. You know what? You really do think that you are the star of the show. And I will see you all tomorrow for Freeform Friday. Make sure if you have any Am I the Assholes, any blind reacts or whatever, make sure you send them. And just if it's a blind react, please label it. Don't wait until after I watch it to be like, oh, I wanted you to blind react. Yeah. That are twos. Y'all be good. Don't do nothing he would do. What? Use a heathen. We ain't got no bail money for people. The 1st is on Sunday. Rent is due. Get a job. All right. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Till tomorrow, y'all.